Most advice on growing a business doesn't work. Not because it's wrong, but because it's incomplete. It focuses on tactics, marketing tricks, growth hacks, new ideas, but ignores the one thing that actually holds everything together: structure. And without structure, nothing holds.
In episode 12, we talked about what happens under pressure. The storm doesn't break the business, it reveals what can't hold. And when structure is weak, everything begins to collapse. So the question becomes, what actually allows a business to grow without breaking? A friend of mine said something simple. Most people would ignore it because it doesn't sound impressive. But it was structure, built before the moment ever came. And when the pressure showed up, it held.
And every time you talk to anyone, think that you're doing them a favor.
Most people hear that and think it's confidence. It's not. It's a prepared response.
If they want a job done right, call you.
That response was built before the conversation ever started. So when the moment showed up, there was no hesitation.
Realize that you are doing them a favor.
What looks like mindset is actually structure.
That sounds simple, and it is. Simplicity doesn't mean random, it means designed. This isn't personality, it's preparation. A response built in advance. And if the behavior is designed, what happens next shouldn't be left to chance. When the lead arrives, the system takes over, not who's available, not how they feel, the system. This is what structure does. It removes randomness and replaces it with outcomes. And most businesses don't have this.
But here's where most people get confused. They think structure is one thing. It's not. There are two types of structure. Some things in your life are supposed to move, and some things were never meant to. Foundational structure is the ground you stand on, your health, your stability, your ability to think clearly, your basic order. If that shifts, everything above it becomes unstable. Cyclical structure is the path you're walking, the project, the phase, the thing you're building right now. That part is supposed to change. But most people reverse it. They try to move forward without ever stabilizing the ground. They chase growth inside instability. And it doesn't just affect business, it affects everything. Because this isn't just about entrepreneurs. This is about how people live. If the ground isn't stable, the path doesn't matter. So before we talk about growth, we have to understand what actually holds it. Here are 10 structures that determine whether something works or breaks. Not ideas, not tactics, structure. And they don't exist all at once. They reveal themselves in order. Structure 1, value. Knowing why your work matters.
If you don't know why it matters, everything starts to feel like selling. You push harder, you explain more, and people still don't respond. Because they can feel it when you're trying to convince instead of help.
Value removes pressure. You're not selling, you're helping. Structure 2, offer. The offer is clear. No confusion, no friction.
People hesitate. They look, they think, and then they leave. Not because they're not interested, but because they don't know what to do next. A confused buyer always says no.
Clarity removes friction. The easier it is to understand, the easier it is to act. Structure 3, message. You can explain what you do simply. People understand immediately.
If the message isn't clear, people get lost. You explain it one way, then another, then again, and the more you say, the harder it is to understand. Because confusion doesn't come from too little. It comes from too much.
A clear message connects immediately. No effort, no explanation. Structure 4. Audience. You know exactly who you serve. Not everyone, the right ones.
If you try to reach everyone, no one feels like you're speaking to them. Your message gets softer, more general, less clear. And the people who actually need you don't recognize themselves in it.
The right audience recognizes immediately, and when they do, everything moves faster. Structure 5. Lead flow. People can find you consistently, not by accident.
Consistent flow creates stability. You're not chasing attention, you're receiving it.
Consistent flow creates stability. You're not chasing attention, you're receiving it. Structure 6. Conversion. There is a clear path to yes. No guessing, no pressure.
Sometimes everything is ready. The buyer is ready, the seller is ready, but the system isn't.
I tried to buy something online last week. Simple purchase. Shipping and buying information already saved. But one step broke. Verification. Sent to an email I couldn't access. And just like that, it stopped. Not because I didn't want it, but because the path wasn't clear anymore. A clear path builds confidence. When people know what to do, they move forward. When the path breaks, the decision disappears. Structure 7. Delivery. The system carries the load, so you don't have to.
If delivery isn't structured, everything starts to strain. Deadlines slip, details get missed, pressure builds, and what should feel smooth starts to feel heavy. Not because the work is hard, but because the system isn't holding. Everything moves the way it should. Orders come in, they're picked, they're packed, they go out. No scrambling, no second guessing, no missed steps. Because every part knows its role. And when the system holds, delivery feels effortless.
A solid system carries the load, so you don't have to. Structure 8. Capacity. Growth doesn't break you, lack of capacity does.
Growth feels good at first. More customers, more demand, more opportunity. But without capacity, everything starts to stretch. Response times slow, quality slips, pressure builds. And what looked like progress starts to feel like chaos. But with structure, everything keeps moving. Nothing backs up, nothing breaks, because the system can handle the load. That's what capacity looks like.
Capacity absorbs growth. Without it, growth turns against you. Structure 9. Feedback. You can see what's working and what's not.
Without feedback, you're guessing. You try something, you wait, you hope it works. At first, it looks like it should work. So you keep using it, adjusting, trying to make it fit. But something feels off. Results don't line up. Progress stalls. Then you see it. It's not the effort, it's the tool. So you switch. And suddenly, everything starts to respond, because now you're using the right thing for the job.
Feedback creates visibility. When you can see clearly, you can adjust with purpose. Structure 10. Builder. The builder is clear. The builder is not carrying everything.
When the builder isn't clear, everything starts to depend on them. Every decision, every fix, every problem. They become the system, and over time, the weight builds. Not because the business is broken, but because everything is sitting on one person. When the builder is clear, everything has a place. Decisions are defined, problems are contained, work moves without them. And over time, the weight lifts, not because the work is gone, but because everything is held where it belongs.
A clear builder builds clear structure. And when the structure holds, the builder doesn't have to. Because not all structures are the same. Some are foundational. They don't move. Your health, your stability, your ability to think clearly. If that shifts, everything above it becomes unstable. And some are cyclical. They're meant to move. The project, the phase, what you're building currently, those change. But most people reverse it. They try to build forward without ever stabilizing the ground. And that's where the chaos begins. These 10 structures we move through quickly, but each one matters, and each one can be built. So in the next episodes, we're going to slow this down and take them deeper with more detail, so you can see them clearly and start building them for yourself. This is St. George Clarity. We don't chase tactics. We help you see structure so you can build it. Because when structure is right, everything else begins to work. What you just saw are 10 structures. But they're not the structures, they're examples. Because structure is everywhere. In business, in work, in how you live. There aren't 10, there are thousands. And most people never think about them. They feel the pressure, they feel the chaos, but they never stop to ask, what structure is missing? And when you start to see it that way, everything changes.